Mm. Okay, waiting for Dominic. Dominic to the track. So starting in pole position, Sean Lee. Starting number 2 spot, Ismail. Number 3, Dominic. Number 4, Andrew. 5, A, and Sebastian in 6.
1 minute to start.
Okay, one lap. No more laps, yeah? Out to the grid.
45 seconds to start. Go to your
Sean.
start position. 30 seconds to start. Start. Order. Car 1, car 2, car 3, car 4, car 5, car 6. 10, 9,
No
8,
start, no start. Okay, wait,
7, 6, 5.
Okay. Okay, my son. Okay. Yeah, a bit bad. Okay, that's a good race, guys. Keep it clean. Drivers ready. No countdown, huh? Marshall's ready. Let's go racing. Start, guys. Keep it clean. Andrew moves up into a 3 spot. 1 and 2 have pulled away. Slight mistake there by Sean coming down the ramp. Andrew catching up to the top 2. Ismail makes a mistake. He drops. Andrew up to second. Dominic in third. Kay in fourth. Sebastian 5. Mistake for Andrew. Opens the door for Dominic to move up into the 2 spot. The 2 youngsters,
4 minutes
1
to
and
drive.
2, 1 minute down. And then we have one very experienced driver behind, not so youngster. He's now at the back of the field. The gap is 1.3 seconds. A problem for Sebastian. A problem for Bing. And here comes Andrew to take over third position. Gap between the top 2 down to 1 second. Bing picking up slightly. Sean makes a slight mistake there. This should be closer than 1 second now. Gap down to 0.8 seconds. Leader is a blue
3
car
minutes
followed
to
by
drive.
a green, white and black. Or green and black. Wind picking up slightly will make the jumps even more tricky. It should be even closer now. Gap just 0.5 last time round. Watch it, watch it, watch it. The Bay leaders coming up on you. Mistake by Sean. Opens the door. Dominic goes up into the lead. Sean holds on to second. Andrew some distance back in third. Then we have Bay, Ismail, and Sebastian who's down. So leaders, you got the back markers, the leaders coming up. So we have Sean behind Ismail, Ismail making a mistake. So Bay, you have Sean second behind you. 3 minutes now.
2 minutes to drive.
Watch it after the big jump. Andrew goes upside down. He should still hold on to third though. And already the leader, Dominic, coming up on Andrew. Ismail, Tabana across the road. Why is it the Tabana across the road? Because Ismail is upside down. So problems there for Ismail. Set up not quite. I think it was it. 1.5 minutes to go. Sean on the charge now. Last lap 16 flat to Dominic 16.4. Gap is 2.1 seconds. The leader, the green and black car. Sebastian is back. Mistake there for Sean. We're losing some time. Andrew is still some ways back. 1 minute to go. Your leader, the green car. Another mistake there for Sean. Watch it. Watch it. Oh my god. Someone marshal the marshal. Uncle Joe to the marshal rescue. There was a bit of ICG for the marshal.
4 seconds to drive.
30 seconds to go. Less than that now. Last 15 seconds. Should be one more lap after this for everyone. Okay, Marshall, careful when you're coming off the track. Steady, steady, steady. Good recovery there for the Marshall.
Time is
Time is
over.
done. Waiting. Race to the line, guys. Ismail and Bay, you're done. Here comes the winner. The green car, Dominic, takes the win here in leg one. Andrew will finish in third position, waiting for Sean. Sean, you're done. All cars done. Okay, we start in 5 for the B main. B main, guys. We start at 5. The whole time I drive on my island.
Start.
Yeah.
Order. Car 1, car 2, car 3, car 4, car 5, car 6, car 7, car 8.
Fasti, Fasti, Stephen Hawk,
Vô đi, cái cổng nào đấy.
Capana B, Joe,
Đấy.
Eric, Eric, Billy. This side be a lot of fun. So we need the main driver is Marshall. Dominic to Marshall. Good luck, bro.
I was like, it was like,
Okay, the green order will be Fasti, Steven, Don, Joe, Capana, Joe, Derek, Eric, Wenjie. Capana, please check in. Thank you. All cars checked in. Wind is picking up here. 2020 strong. Woohoo! Hope the cars fly well and our comeback will fly. Okay, no more laps, no more laps. Cars to the grid. Cars to the grid. Yeah, 8 cars.
45 seconds to start. Go to your start position.
Starting pole Fasti, Steven 2, Don 3, Capana 4, Joe 5. Yeah, we have to squeeze the grid a little so we'll go side by side. But take it easy on the first turn. Capana 4, Joe 5, Derek 6, Eric 7, Wen Jian 8. This one Eric and Pablo. Okay, 8 cars. Someone shot. You want to go under? Shot. You spot here. I want to see. Okay, you see here. Here. Oh, yeah. Can see? Right? I think here is better. Yeah. Okay, huh? Then easier to retrieve. Okay. Marshall, you. Two marshals there. Two marshals there. Yeah. Okay, no countdown, guys. No countdown. Check the fan. Take it easy, guys. Don't end your race on the first now. We are doing 2 runs, two mains, two legs. So best one out of the two. Drivers ready. Marshall's ready. We go racing on the go. Wow. Tapana goes on top of Gauthier. Basti Ibrahim floats one over the double in the middle. Then we have Don up in 2, Steven in 3. Start, guys. Eric up to 4th position. Well done. Tapana has a watch it. As our leader is Basri Ibrahim, yellow and blue.
4 minutes to
Followed by
drive.
Don in second. Oh, we're even. Catching the fight there. And Eric Chu running in fourth with that maroon car. Leader coming up on Joe Lam. Leader coming up on Joe. Joe rolls it on the pipe. So leader coming up on Tapana B. Next car is Don in third. Eric Chu looks like he's up to third position.
Three minutes to drive.
Gasly looks to have a comfortable lead from Don. Eric looks like he's up to third position. Take it easy, guys. Problem for Derek. Sean, don't stand there. Sean, don't stand there. Past the halfway mark, less than 2.5 to go. Rusty, your leader coming up on Derek. Thank you. Second place, Andrew on the upper tier.
2 minutes to drive.
Good, good move there, Sean. Testing your agility and reflexes. 1.5 minutes to go. Your leader, blue and yellow. Coming up onto the second tier. Keep going, guys. There's a bit of mix up in the lap counting, so a bit hard to tell the positions.
1 minute to drive.
1 minute to go. Oh no, Xiamen goes off the ramp. Does this give a chance to Andrew? Sorry, to Don. Don closes up. So Joe, you have second place there. Thank you. It'll be an exciting finish. Here comes Don. Closing right up on Xiamen.
4 seconds to drive.
30 seconds to go. So once here you have leaders coming up behind you. Oh no! Lead change. We have Don up into the one spot. Xiamen right behind him, not giving up. 10 seconds to go. Up the wall right, here they come. Do the big jump in the middle. Could be one more lap. Watch it, Sean. Race to the line. Here comes Don. Takes the win. One jump.
3 finished. 1 finished. 2 finished. 8
Finish the lap. Tapana, keep going.
finished.
Tapana,
6
waiting for Tapana. Joe Eric.
finished. 4 finished.
Oh,
5
Xiamen though.
finished. 7
Xiamen all the way through. Okay, we start in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. your results don't show. One, two, Fasli. Three, Steven. Lapan. Four, Eric. Five. Joe six. Eric seven. And Volunteer eight. Very good. He made a point that these are all proper but he has stated every other week, like dia pun do one more round. So every other week probably they will do a race. Weekend all occupied. So next up will be the David Nexu. Yeah, I got it. But they start already, all of them rushing. I already got no energy already. No more, right? Tadi kata no more. What the fuck? God, there's no order. They have to order a lot to support two drivers. Dengan di spoiler. Tak ada oil ke? Kan apa table mat, tapnya, oriyaji, patah. Dangdut ni. Dia dah Brembo brake sekarang, Brembo. Itulah. Kesian kat bawah juga. Tapi bila pagi dia tak main lagi tau. Main nak lari dari orang. Budak-budak semua dah tahu ni. Program ni. Dah tahu bukan? Lain. Yang lain. Abang tak ramai lah. Dia kurang-kurangkan kawan. Tetap kurang susah je kan kalau kurang kawan. Ada kontak kau lagi? Kawan? Ada datang sini? Kemarin je tadi. Ada datang lepak. Ada. Asun. Sama juga macam kau dua ada itu sini. Ini. Oh, Tony. Nah, tapi saja baik. Kan kena ada dia punya dekat Oh, tak di sini.
Direct.
Tapi kalau Tenet boleh apa? Dulu pun dah okey tu.
Ya, memang. Tapi belanja sekali je.
Yalah. Sekali ke fokus ni.
Tapi tu, I tengok already lah. Tired dia lah.
$90 mini V tayar $90.
Tell you buy the correct one, you don't want to buy the wrong one. Tell you buy $60 tire warmer, you don't want, you go buy $90 tire warmer. See Uncle Joe, $60. Never break until now. Other people want to keep on breaking, don't know why. Hey, you don't understand. I don't know how they use it, Uncle Joe. My one, I never off, you know. I never off. I don't know how come all them.
Kotak apa ni?
Aku tak tahu lah.
Terbakar ke apa? Tak boleh on pun.
Tak boleh on yang tu.
Oh, new ah.
Dia tahu apa on new already.
You put what thing on it?
Sorry?
This one?